At the mall food court, an elderly woman pushed her purse into my hands and said, "Don't let them see what's inside." I stood there holding the worn leather bag, staring at her wrinkled face as she backed away with wide, frightened eyes. "Ma'am, I think you have the wrong person. This is your purse." I tried to hand it back, but she shook her head violently. "They're watching. They've been following me for 3 days. Please just keep it safe until I can lose them." Then she turned and hurried toward the exit, moving surprisingly fast for someone who looked about 75. I looked around the food court, families eating pizza, teenagers on their phones, a businessman reading a newspaper. Nobody seemed to be watching anything except their own meals. "Lady, wait," I called after her, but she was already disappearing into the crowd near the JCPenney entrance. I stood there like an idiot holding someone else's purse while my lunch got cold on the table behind me. My first instinct was to chase her down and make her take it back. My second instinct was to turn it into mall security. But something about the genuine terror in her eyes made me hesitate. What if she really was in danger? What if someone really was following her? I sat back down at my table and looked at the purse. It was old, probably from the 80s, with a tarnished brass clasp. Heavy, too. Whatever was inside had some weight to it. I glanced around again. Still nobody watching me. I opened the clasp. Inside was a wallet, some tissues, reading glasses, and a manila envelope sealed with tape. The envelope had writing on it in shaky handwriting. "For Detective Howard Pierce, Denver PD. Evidence in the Westfield murders 1987. My heart started pounding. The Westfield murders. I'd heard of those. A family of 4 killed in their home in the suburbs. The case had gone cold decades ago. One of Denver's most infamous unsolved crimes. I pulled out the wallet and found a driver's license. Dorothy Westfield, age 73, address in Lakewood. I stared at the name. Westfield. Same as the murder victims. This woman was connected to the case somehow. I picked up my phone and Googled Westfield Murders Denver 1987. The articles came up immediately. Robert and Carol Westfield, ages 42 and 39, found dead in their home along with their 2 teenage children, Michael and Jennifer. Brutally stabbed. No forced entry. No clear motive. The case had stumped investigators for 36 years. One detail jumped out at me. The Westfields had a younger daughter, Dorothy, age 9 at the time, who'd been staying at her grandmother's house the night of the murders. She'd been the one to find the bodies the next morning when she came home. Dorothy Westfield, the same woman who just handed me her purse. I looked at the envelope again. Evidence. What kind of evidence would she have kept for 36 years? And why was she scared someone was following her now? I should call the police. Turn over the purse and the envelope and let them handle it. That was the smart thing to do. But the cop named on the envelope, Detective Howard Pierce, might be retired by now. Might even be dead. If I called the general police line, would they take it seriously? Or would they think I was some crazy person with a random envelope? My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Hello?" Heavy breathing on the other end. Then a woman's voice, whisper quiet. "Did you open it? Dorothy? Is that you? Where are you? Did you open the envelope?" Her voice was urgent, terrified. "No, I just looked at your ID. Dorothy, what's going on? What's in here?" I can't talk long. They track my phone. Listen carefully. That envelope has evidence that proves who killed my family. I've had it for 36 years. I couldn't go to the police before because he threatened to kill me too if I ever told. But he's dying now. Cancer. He has maybe 3 months left. She paused, breathing hard. I thought I was safe to finally tell the truth, but he must have found out somehow. He sent people to watch me, to make sure I stay quiet until he's dead. My mouth went dry. Who? Who killed your family? His name is in the envelope. Pictures too. Proof. Everything the police need. Her voice cracked. I thought I could just mail it to Detective Pierce, but they're watching my house. They follow me everywhere. I tried to lose them at the mall, but I don't know if it worked. Dorothy, where are you now? I can't tell you. It's safer if you don't know. Please, just get that envelope to Detective Pierce. Or if he's not with the police anymore, find him. Give it to him directly. Don't trust anyone else. Why Pierce specifically? Because he was the one who believed me back then. When I told him I thought I knew who did it, he listened. But I was 9 years old and scared, and I couldn't prove anything. He told me if I ever found proof, to come to him. Only him. The line went quiet except for her breathing. Dorothy, I don't know if I can... Please, you're the only one who can help me now. They didn't see me give you the purse. They were watching the exits. This is my only chance. She hung up before I could respond. I sat there staring at the envelope, my lunch completely forgotten. This was insane. I was a dental hygienist, not a private investigator. I cleaned teeth for a living. I had no business getting involved in a 36-year-old murder case. But Dorothy Westfield had looked at me across that food court and trusted me with something she'd been too terrified to share for more than 3 decades. I picked up my phone and searched for Detective Howard Pierce. Several results came up. An obituary from 2019. My stomach sank. Dead. Pierce had died 4 years ago of a heart attack at age 71. Now what? Dorothy said to only trust Pierce. But Pierce was gone. I could go to the police anyway, tell them the whole story. But what if Dorothy was right? What if the killer really had people watching her? What if those same people were watching the police station? I made a decision that was probably stupid. I grabbed the purse, threw away my cold lunch, and walked quickly to my car. Whatever was in that envelope, I was going to look at it. Then I'd figure out what to do next. In my car with the doors locked, I carefully peeled back the tape on the envelope. Inside were 3 items: a handful of photographs, a handwritten letter, and a small plastic bag containing what looked like a piece of cloth with dark stains on it. I looked at the photographs first. They were old Polaroids, faded and yellowing. The first few showed a family gathering. The Westfields at a barbecue, kids running around, adults laughing with beers in their hands. Then I got to the last 3 photos, and my blood went cold. These were different, taken through a window at night. Grainy, dark, but clear enough to see what they showed. A man entering the Westfield house through the back door. Same man in the kitchen, holding something. The third photo showed him clearly, face visible in the light from the hallway. A man in his 40s with dark hair and a thick mustache. The timestamp on the camera read 11:47 p.m., March 14th, 1987, the night of the murders. I picked up the handwritten letter. The paper was old, the ink faded, but still readable. It was addressed to Detective Pierce and dated March 1987, written in a child's careful handwriting. Dear Detective Pierce, I know you don't believe me, but I'm telling the truth. I saw Uncle Richard come to our house the night everyone died. I was supposed to be at Grandma's house, but I snuck back because I forgot my game and I saw him go inside. He didn't see me. I was scared, so I hid in the treehouse. I waited and waited. Then I heard screaming. I took pictures with my Polaroid camera that I had with me. When Uncle Richard left, his shirt had blood on it. I found a piece of it caught on the fence where he climbed over to leave. I kept it and the pictures because I knew no one would believe a kid. But I'm scared. Uncle Richard came to Grandma's house today and asked me questions about that night. He wanted to know if I came home at all. I lied and said no, but he looked at me weird like he knew I was lying. I'm scared to tell you this in person because what if he finds out? So I'm writing it down and hiding it. Someday when I'm brave enough, I'll give this to you. From Dorothy. I looked at the plastic bag again. The cloth had darkened stains that could definitely be blood. DNA evidence. Even after 36 years, it might still be testable. The photos showed a man clearly entering the house at the time of the murders. This was solid evidence. Evidence that Dorothy had been carrying around for 36 years, too terrified to use it. I pulled out my phone and searched for Richard Westfield, Denver. Several hits came up. Richard Westfield, retired police officer. My stomach dropped. No wonder Dorothy had been too scared to come forward. No wonder she'd only trusted Detective Pierce. The killer was a cop. Her uncle was a cop, and probably still had connections in the department even after retirement. I found more information. Richard Westfield had been a patrol officer in 1987, working the night shift. He'd been one of the first responders to the murder scene, had helped investigate his own crime. I felt sick. Then I found his current status. Richard Westfield, age 78, currently receiving hospice care for stage 4 pancreatic cancer at Mountain View Care Center. Expected survival time, 6 to 12 weeks. Dorothy had been right. He was dying. This was her last chance to see justice before he died without consequences. I needed help. Real help. Not the police, at least not yet. I called my friend Jackson, who worked as a private investigator. Jackson, I need your advice on something, and it's going to sound completely insane. I explained everything while he listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. So, let me get this straight. You have evidence in a cold case murder that implicates a retired cop. The evidence was given to you by a terrified woman who's now disappeared, and you're asking me what to do? Yes. Give me the evidence. I have contacts in the FBI field office. If this really does show a cop committed murder, it needs to go federal. The local police are too compromised. Relief washed over me. Can you meet me somewhere? How about my office in an hour? And hey, watch your back. If this Richard Westfield really does have people watching Dorothy, and they figure out she gave you that purse, he didn't need to finish the sentence. I drove to Jackson's office, checking my rearview mirror constantly for cars that might be following me. Maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe no one was watching me at all. Then I noticed the black SUV 3 cars back that had been behind me since I left the mall parking lot. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. I made a random turn, heading away from Jackson's office. The SUV followed. I made another turn. Still following. Okay, this was real. Someone was actually following me. I called Jackson. I've got a tail. Black SUV, no front license plate. Where are you? Broadway and Evans, heading south. There's a police station at Hampton and Broadway. Drive there. Park right in front. They won't try anything at a police station. I accelerated, weaving through traffic. The SUV kept pace. My heart was hammering so hard I could hear it. I reached the police station and pulled into the parking lot, right up front where security cameras would catch everything. I sat there with the engine running, clutching Dorothy's purse in my lap. The black SUV slowed as it passed the station, and I got a glimpse of the driver. A big guy, bald, wearing sunglasses. He looked right at me, and I saw him reach for his phone. Then he drove on. I waited 10 minutes before calling Jackson back. I think they're gone. But Jackson, this is serious. These people are real. I'm coming to you. Stay at the police station. Don't move until I get there. Jackson arrived 20 minutes later in his beat-up Honda. I got in his car and we drove to his office, taking a route designed to spot any tails. No black SUV, no one following us. In his office, Jackson spread out the contents of the envelope on his desk. He examined everything carefully, taking photos with his phone. This is good evidence. The photos are time-stamped. The letter provides context and motive. The blood evidence could be tested against Richard Westfield's DNA. He looked up at me. But here's the problem. Getting this to the right people without tipping off whoever's watching. What about the FBI? I have a contact, Special Agent Maria Torres. She's straight, not connected to the local department. I'll call her now. He picked up his phone and made the call, putting it on speaker. Torres. Maria, it's Jackson Lee. I need to bring you something sensitive. Evidence in a cold case that implicates law enforcement. There was a pause. How solid is the evidence? Photos, witness statement, physical evidence. Very solid. but there may be active threats against witnesses. Come to the field office. When can you get here? 2 hours. I need to make sure we're not followed. I'll have security meet you at the entrance. Don't talk to anyone else about this. We spent the next hour planning our route to the FBI office, making sure we weren't followed. Jackson had me leave my phone at his office. It could be tracked. We took his car with no GPS, used back roads, doubled back multiple times. By the time we reached the FBI field office downtown, I was exhausted from the adrenaline. Special Agent Torres met us at the entrance with 2 other agents. She was in her 40s, sharp-eyed, all business. In a secure conference room, Jackson laid out the evidence. Torres and her colleagues examined everything in silence. Finally, Torres looked up. This is credible. If this blood evidence matches Richard Westfield's DNA, and these photos are authenticated as being from the night of the murders, this is enough to reopen the case and potentially bring charges. Potentially? I asked. He's in hospice. Terminal cancer. He may not live long enough to stand trial. Torres's jaw tightened. But we can still investigate. Get justice on the record even if he dies before trial. And if there were accomplices or people who helped cover it up, we can go after them. She looked at me. I need to talk to Dorothy Westfield. Do you know where she is? No. She called me once and then disappeared. She was terrified. We'll find her. Put her in protective custody if needed. Torres started making notes. Tell me everything about the people who were following you. I described the black SUV, the bald driver, everything I could remember. Torres nodded grimly. We'll look into known associates of Richard Westfield. He was a cop for 30 years. Probably has plenty of people who owe him favors. She stood up. Thank you for bringing this to us. You did the right thing. Now go home and try to stay safe. Don't talk to anyone about this. We'll handle it from here. Jackson drove me back to his office to get my car. You should stay with someone tonight, just in case. You think they'll come after me? I think Dorothy gave you that purse because she thought she was being watched, and they saw you leave with it. So yeah, be careful. I stayed with my sister that night. Didn't sleep much. Every car sound outside made me jump. The next morning, my phone rang. FBI number. This is Special Agent Torres. We have Dorothy Westfield in protective custody. She's safe, and I wanted to give you an update. Did the blood match? We fast-tracked the DNA analysis. It's Richard Westfield's blood. His DNA is in the system from when he was a cop. The photos have been authenticated as taken with a camera from the 1980s, and the timestamps match the murder timeline. I felt a rush of relief and vindication. Dorothy had been right. We interviewed Richard Westfield at his hospice facility this morning. He denied everything initially, but when we showed him the photos and told him about the blood evidence, he broke down, confessed to the murders. Torres paused. He killed his brother's family over a debt. Robert Westfield owed him $50,000 from a failed business investment. Richard wanted the money back. Robert said he didn't have it. Richard snapped. Killed the whole family in a rage. He's been living free for 36 years, I said, feeling sick. And Dorothy's been terrified the whole time. Not anymore. She gave a full statement. We're charging Richard Westfield with 4 counts of first-degree murder. He'll die in custody, but at least he'll die as a convicted murderer, not a retired cop with a clean record. What about the people who were following Dorothy? The ones who followed me? We're investigating. Richard claims he never sent anyone, that he thought Dorothy would keep quiet until he died. So either he's lying, or someone else knew about the evidence and was trying to protect him. Torres sounded grim. We're not done digging. I thanked her and hung up. 2 weeks later, Richard Westfield died in custody before his trial could begin. But the case was officially solved. The Denver Post ran a story about the brave survivor who'd kept evidence for 36 years and finally found the courage to come forward. I met Dorothy for coffee a month after everything settled. She looked different, lighter somehow, like a weight had been lifted. I can't thank you enough, she said, gripping my hands across the table. For 36 years, I've been looking over my shoulder. Now I can finally breathe. You're the brave one. You kept that evidence all this time. I was 9 years old when I watched my uncle murder my family. I knew no one would believe me. I knew he'd kill me too if he found out I saw him. So I stayed quiet and hated myself for it every single day. She wiped her eyes. But when I found out he was dying, I realized this was my only chance. I had to try. Even if I was scared. Even if they were watching me. The people following you? Did they ever figure out who they were? Dorothy nodded. Other cops. Friends of Richard's who knew about the murders and helped cover it up. The FBI arrested 2 of them. They're facing obstruction charges. She smiled, and it was the first real smile I'd seen from her. It's not perfect. Richard died before trial, but everyone knows the truth now. My family can rest, and I can finally live without fear. We talked for another hour. She told me about her family, the good memories from before the murders, how she'd spent her whole adult life in therapy, trying to process the trauma, how she'd never married, never had kids, because she was too scared to let anyone close. Maybe now I can start over, she said. I'm 73, not too late to finally live. Driving home, I thought about how one random encounter at a mall food court had changed everything. If Dorothy had chosen someone else, if I'd ignored her, if I'd just turned the purse into mall security without looking inside, a 36-year-old murder would have stayed unsolved, a dying man would have escaped justice, and Dorothy Westfield would have lived the rest of her life in fear. Sometimes the right person is just someone who chooses to help when asked, someone who looks into the frightened eyes of a stranger and decides to trust that the fear is real. I don't know if I'll ever have another experience like that. I hope I don't. It was terrifying. But if I do, if someone else pushes something into my hands and asks for help, I'll remember Dorothy. I'll remember that sometimes people really are in danger. Sometimes the paranoid-sounding story is actually true, and sometimes doing the right thing means taking a risk, even when you're scared. The Westfield family finally got justice. Dorothy finally got peace. And I got a reminder that heroes aren't just people with badges or capes. Sometimes they're just people who happen to be in the right place at the right time and chose not to look away. If there's anything to learn from this, it's simple. When someone asks for help, really asks, with genuine fear in their eyes, believe them. Listen. Act. You might be the only chance they have. And you never know when a random Tuesday at the mall might turn into the most important moment of someone's life. Dorothy Westfield waited 36 years for justice. And it all started because she trusted a stranger eating lunch at a food court. Sometimes that's all it takes. One person willing to help. That's the story. The whole truth. And if you made it this far, thank you for listening. Subscribe if you want more true stories about ordinary people in extraordinary situations. Until next time, stay safe and remember, when someone says they need help, they probably really do.